Thanks for stopping by my channel. This is another portfolio update in my Roth IRA, and today's main topic will be about blocks. So in today's video, I'll briefly talk about how did my high yield Roth IRA perform in June, should I sell out of my blocks position, and what's my playbook for July. So if you have a Roth IRA account or you're a high yield income investor, stick around to the end of the video. And just a quick disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as financial advice. Please consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Start with the portfolio summary. Now, if you're new to my channel, I started my Roth IRA a little bit late in my life, and I'm just posting these videos to show that it's not too late to start your Roth IRA in your 40s or even your 50s. And in my Roth IRA account, I have three holdings. My core holding is SCHB, which is a broad market ETF, and I have two income ETFs, which I'll talk about later in the video. Now I have my Roth IRA in a Schwab account, so let's zoom in. If we look at how it's been doing the last few months, you can see that from March to May, not bad, and then we take a small dip in June. And just to give you some of the numbers, you can see that April and May, over a couple of $1,000s each month. And if you watched my previous video, I talked about how June is not the worst month of the year, but it does historically show some decline in the market. And that's what happened in my portfolio. Now, if you look closer in details, you can see that at the beginning of June, my Roth IRA was valued around $20,100. I was able to deposit a few $100s into account. Some market depreciation here. A lot of it is from blocks and my newest holding, and I'll talk about that later in the video. So the ending value was about $90,400. Now, if we look at the individual holding performance, you can see that this is one of the reasons why SCHB is my core holding. It's just a consistent grower, and it's around 21% up in my portfolio, so I really like what it's doing right now. NVII, which is from Brex Shares, is a newer holding for me, and funny enough, and this might happen to you sometimes, you know when you buy a position or get into a position, and then the very next day it just drops? Well, that's what happened to me earlier, or not earlier, but in the middle of the month. Nvidia had some, I don't know, sour news, and it dipped to the low 200s, and then recently dipped under 200. So this has affected NVII. I'm not down too bad in capital gain. It looks like I'm down 5.5%, but with the dividends I've received or distributions, I'm only down 2.76%. And I do think that this position will actually grow a little bit higher sometime in July. Blocks is my midterm play, and if you watch my other videos, I've only had this for a few months, and I still continue to hold it because I believe in some of the holdings in blocks, which I'll talk about in just a few moments. But right now, total profit, I'm down just under 0.5%, so not too bad. Overall, this year, I'm up 9.5%. Can't complain too much about that. And if we look at the income summary, it is a little bit higher than last month. And year to date, so far in total dividends and distributions, I've received about $1,800. Okay, so the main event of this video, should I sell blocks? Well, before I give you my opinion, just looking at Bitcoin right now, you can see that around the middle of June, Bitcoin really just drops to the low 60K area, and recently it dropped under 60K, so I think it's battling between that high 50K, low 60K range right now. If we go to Barron's, there just seems to be not an appetite for the crypto space right now because a lot of liquidity is in memory and maybe other names that have alpha. So right now, it just crypto space doesn't have a lot of positive sentiment. Now, if we look at the holdings of blocks, usually that's okay because blocks doesn't have like direct exposure to crypto. It just has exposure to what I think pretty diversified area of crypto space, including data centers, mining, even semiconductor chips. So usually Blocks doesn't go down so bad. But if we look at some of the news from last week, you can see that some of its top holdings actually took a pretty big dip. I mean, HUT is down 8.5%. And I think in the overnight markets, it's even down more. Riot as well, and then Cypher. Now, for these holdings, I can kind of understand why there's some dip. I mean, if you look at the year to date, and this is after the dip, HUD is still up over 100%. Riot is up about 75%, and even Cypher is close to 40%. So I think it's sort of natural for it to take a little bit of a dip. But I think some other reasons are that some of these are really high flyer names, high risk, high return, and so they can move up sharply, but they can also move down sharply. To me, I sort of have more confidence in Riot just because I think there's a lot more going for Riot at the moment because HUT seems like it's bleeding some money. Now, another holding that caught my attention was Iran, and Iran is down about 12.5%. You can see that it's a big holding or exposure in blocks. Now, a lot of people on YouTube will say, okay, blocks is down because of Meta's sort of reference to maybe entering the neo cloud space. Of course, that's not certain. But if I saw this article, and if you read this article, it's like, oh, okay, maybe it's not just the meta news. It could be just how um, Iran is handling its money. I mean, usually investors are pretty sour anytime a company does dilution, but they're also a little bit negative sentiment if they feel like the managers are mismanaging the funds. And I think that's what's happening according to this article. So right now, Iran is in the dumps, but if you believe in Iran's future, then maybe this is just a temporary glitch. Now, what am I doing? Well, I think this is still too short term, and I think there's still a lot of runways for holdings within blocks. And I know there's another Fed meeting that's set up for the end of July, and I'm not sure if this dip, something along with this meeting is baked into that dip, or there's other macroeconomic factors. So I think closer to July 29th, I might start trimming my position, and I'll talk about how I'm going to trim in just a few moments. I'm not going to sell out the whole position because I still think blocks is a really good holding for me, but maybe I just need to mitigate some risk by trimming the position. Okay, so what's my playbook for July? Now, if you saw my last video, I showed how July is usually a pretty good month in the year for both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. Now, in midterm election years, if June is sort of a dip or a decline, then July might actually kind of recover slightly. Not the same way as a non midterm election year, but I think there might be some recovery. Again, I'm not a fortune teller. I'm just looking at the data, and it seems like July could be somewhat positive. We will see. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I am planning to trim my block shares. I currently have about 335 shares, and my cost average is in the mid $15 range. So if blocks gets above 16 to 16 and a half, then I think I'm going to trim from 335 to 250. And why am I stopping at 250? Well, if you look at the distributions every week, it's somewhere between 10 and 11 cents. So if I have 250 shares times that distribution, I can almost buy one share of SCHB each week. So that's why it's at 250. Now for my SCHB account, I was able to add 17 shares in June. I currently have 324 shares, and I'm hoping to get that to 350 by the end of July. Now, NVI is a new position. It's a little bit unfortunate that it has taken a pretty big dip right after I bought it. I currently have 200 shares, and right now I'm just collecting the distributions. And anytime it goes, let's say above $25 or $26, I think I'll cut this position by half and just hold a little bit more cash going into the July 29th meeting. Okay, so that was just a quick video about my portfolio update in my Roth IRA and showing you how my high yield income ETFs are performing and what are my thoughts on blocks and the crypto space in general. Hope you got some value in this video. If you like this video, you might like these two videos. Thanks again for stopping by. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.